All right. Good morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you're watching this. We know that there's a few of us live, but we all know you're watching recordings out there. And that's good. That's fine. Although we'd love to have you on. It's funny. We remember how we advertised people to join the show. I still like the idea. Someday we'll have a huge audience that would do a laugh track whenever we make a joke, and I look forward to that. But we'll get there. Okay, we're on Rise Up, where we talk about responsibility, integrity, service, and empathy in action. Learn what's going on in the world and the difference that I can make. We've got almost all of us in the studio today. We've got Naria Gorder. Hello. Ricky DeSena. Hello. I love your new background. Looking fresh.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, I want to try something new.
Hey, as a matter of fact, I tried something new too. I put on a different set of clothes. How about that? Just for you guys, because that's how much I love and care for you all. Okay, we got a great show today. We've got some great articles. We've got a talk that I think you should pay attention to. So let's get into it. Ricky, what is our story for today?
All right, thank you, Mohan. Story for today. Again, we're taking a look at what's going on at the UN and what they're prioritizing this month. And what I saw recently, not just today, but not just yesterday when I was doing this research, but overall, I feel like there's been an increased investment by UN and civil society organizations that are dealing with, peace and peace building and negotiations with, during war times. Is this investment in mental health? So recently, Antonio Guterres, Secretary General, he came out and he was speaking at a high-level event on mental health interventions for peace building in conflict and humanitarian settings. And he said vulnerability and mental health problems are part of our collective human experience and should be treated as seriously as physical health issues, including during a global pandemic. And I think this is interesting because it's something that I was doing a lot of research on when I was at the university, because I think something we can all acknowledge is that war it doesn't end when people put down their guns, because they're also dealing with aftermath. And I think that the problem for a long time, it was just that the goal was peace, and then people just kind of left it at that. And so now what the UN is saying is, we need to have a more holistic approach to peace building and sustainability in peace by integrating these kind of mental health facilities, mental health professionals for both the victims of war, but also the families of the instigators as well. So yeah, I think it's really interesting. I think it poses a good question of how we can create peace in a more sustainable way, where we don't have this cycle of violence, cycle of hatred, where people who are victims of war don't proceed to retaliate, which we often see in these kinds of situations.
Wow, this is such an interesting article. It's quite a short article.
Yep.
And it's kind of a nice way to speak to our humanity. It's like, yes, there are problems in the world where you can take sides. You can take a position and create conflict. There's other problems that affect all of us. And it would be in our best interest to help each other, to remind each other that our mental health is really important. And what I heard that they applied a simple practice, I forget where I found this, but in schools, where they take a few minutes every morning to do meditation with the kids. And they found significant effects, positive effect of that. Again, because Imagine how many decisions you make a day without a mentally healthy situation in here, uh, and you can see how that over time can create dramatic problems, conflicts and confusion. So I love how this is kind of a, you know, like a parental sort of uh, reminder, and so I appreciate this quite a bit. And it does kind of speak to a little bit about my talk about like finding common problems, something that we all uh, can work on together. And by doing so, we can learn from each other and learn how to cooperate and apply different methods. Because I can imagine, there's many ways to achieve mental health. Of course, there's meditation, which I can't say is 100% universal, but I think a lot of people subscribe to it. But just having someone listen to you, you being able to kind of work out your own thoughts to other people, seeing a professional, of course. I mean, this is good news. Well done. Nice fun.
Thank you.
Are they doing conferences in the UN about mental health?
Yeah, as I mentioned, there's the mental health interventions for peace building. Does a conference that happened recently. I mean, that's the only one I know of for now. But I know that there's recently it's been a thing where they've been talking about mental health because, before last year, I think it wasn't really a big thing. They didn't really mention mental health as like a process in the peace building.
Right. It's like it's cool that the UN can just say this is good, so it can encourage that sort of culture of looking out for each other there. Right, Nari? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's really good that, especially the Secretary General is bringing this up and prioritizing it because, as many know, the mental health issues it's like the hidden um, condition that people can't see on the surface at all. Like you can see an injured, like a broken leg or an arm or like a cut, but with mental health, you can't see that, but it actually has a great effect on you. So I'm glad that this is being brought up, and now it's like in the few years ago, it wasn't like not many people knew about it as an issue, but now it's becoming very well known and people are aware of that. So bringing that also into the process of creating peace and healing, I think that's a great development.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's they mentioned COVID, which can definitely exaggerate the problem because you're stuck at home, you're kind of trapped in your own head, which is why we always advocate if you're going to get out, let's do service, do something for others. But again, it's like even COVID, it's a common problem. It doesn't matter what race or it doesn't matter what nationality you have. This is something we all need to fight together if we're going to end it or to really mitigate it to nothing. So I think mental health is another one. We can work together to, eradicate mental, over stress and, which, as we know, can lead to depression and suicide. I mean, this is a plague. And, there's an impact of all the time we spend on screens and we've been moving a little bit too fast sometimes. We need to sometimes slow it down and kind of have a check-in with yourself or with those close to you. So good. Okay. Let's go to, thanks, Ricky. Let's go to our good news. We've got Naria. So we're sharing this this article today. This is a good one.
All right. Yeah. Iris unfortunately can't join us. She is a busy college student, so she has classes that started today. So I will do my best to explain in her stead. So, article that we have for good news is that in Albuquerque, New Mexico, they're developing a tiny home village. So this is kind of like a transitional home or community for homeless people like that before they actually go back into society. So this is a more permanent, secure residence. It's a small little home, about roughly 30, in Albuquerque in the Bernalillo County. And they have a 30-year lease on a property owned by the Albuquerque Indian Center. So it's like a walled-in gated community with 30 small houses that have basically a desk, a closet, a bed, and a little porch. And then there's like a larger home within the compound or building that has like your area to cook and also access to internet, computers, library. And this little village, I guess, is helping homeless people be able to get access to the resources that they, so social services, and also getting into a routine occupational therapy. But they do have requirements for those who are going to be coming to live in these homes. So you do have to pay $30 a month for utilities, which really isn't that much. But they have to be like not using any hard drugs, and also have to be sober for at least 10 days before they enter the home. So those are the requirements that they're having. But if people can take those steps, I'm sure that really helps them to get back on their feet, like kind of become clean and get ready to be able to make a new start for themselves. So I'm really interested in learning more about this. There wasn't a whole lot with the article, but it said it was inspired by another project that started in Eugene, Oregon in 2013, the opportunity villages that they have for the homeless. So and it's to help encourage the homeless people to become more independent and responsible. Like they get to decide how they want to run and operate their little village, and basically delegate responsibilities. There are those who are responsible for cleaning certain areas, the bathrooms, the kitchens, etc. So yeah, it's a really neat model to see, and I hope it's really successful. I think they've just started it, so they have yet to see like how much of an impact or outcome it might have. But it sounds like they're hopeful.
Yeah, and I love the initiative. You know, I look at those tiny little houses. I think that camera makes it look bigger than it probably is. But you know, my family, we're Japanese, so we don't mind living in tight spaces. In fact, I kind of miss that little cubby hole my wife and I used to live in Japan when we were there. But yeah, this homelessness. Yeah, I'm not an expert, okay, but as I understand, talking to someone who is, there's a certain, yeah, it's all in your head. It's a mentality more than anything. And when it seems like when you're homeless, the overwhelming feeling is hopelessness and kind of feeling inadequate, or or it's like it's actually much easier to just be homeless than it is to develop the work and develop a routine. There's a certain sense of freedom also when you're homeless. You can do pretty much, no one's telling you what to do. So it's interesting. I know I get reflective on that myself. Their routine. It's like, is that a good thing? I mean, I guess so. Yeah. Having a routine kind of creates stability, and you can springboard from a stable foundation that you create in your life. But yeah, it's just I appreciate the effort here, and I think that if more of us can think about this problem, think about what we can do about it, is a very good thing. And so, yeah, like you, I hope it's successful. And although it did kind of remind me of last week's article about the virtual reality, because it's still not real, right? It's like a halfway situation, but I think it's good to emphasize the importance of vision and giving and allowing people to have dignity of themselves, and to paint some picture that's different than what they've been in, so we can even have any kind of hope to work towards. So it's interesting. I don't know, what do you guys think, Ricky?
Yeah, I think similar to you, Mohan, I'm not really an expert on homelessness. I don't think I've ever met somebody that was homeless. But for what I do know, it's Yeah, it's a complicated situation because you have a huge spectrum of people who are homeless. There's people who are homeless by choice, people who have some kind of addiction, and that results in homelessness. There's people who just want that kind of freedom. But I like this idea of offering these homes for the homeless, and with the $30 monthly fee, and these conditions they set for people who get these homes. Because I do think generally there are people out there who want to improve their situation but just have no means to do so. And I think there's just another tool to allow them to get back on their feet in a way that's not degrading. I feel like the issue with maybe some of the welfare opportunities that they might have is, something I heard is there's a feeling of like degradation of like, oh, you're less than because you have to use these options that are available. But I do feel like with these homes, it's like, we're putting you in a situation where you can put yourself back on your feet. We're giving you a home, and we're giving you clean running water so you can shower yourself, and then from there you can try and look for jobs or whatever you need to do. And yeah, I do feel like that is a really good option for a lot of homeless people who are trying to get out of the situation. So yeah, I think just my thoughts on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
I think-
and those, oh, go ahead.
But I was going to say, I think mentality is actually a very true point, because those who have been homeless for a very long time are in a very set state of mind and basically how to survive. And so I think having this transitional home, that's a great way for them to readapt or at least start to get out of their old habits. But I remember speaking to a homeless shelter, like kind of how they help people and get them to the resources and social services if they're trying to get out off addiction, or just help them find a job or get the resources that they need to get back on their feet. They talk about how they actually prioritize those who have been on the streets for very little time, because they're able to get back on their feet very quickly and very quick turnaround time to get them help to the resources that they need so that they can get a good head start. Because like Ricky said, there's actually many different factors why people become homeless. It could just even simply be like you had a sudden like unexpected expense with something, and then that basically got like made you lose your that month's rent, and then you can't pay for your rent and you're on the streets, just bang, something like that. And then once you're on the streets that end without income, then it's really hard to get back back into that situation. So that's why it's important to know where these resources are in that way as well. I remember hearing from someone talking about like trying to help the homeless people, that they were thinking about what did all the homeless people need, but then realized that they didn't actually talk to the homeless people and find out what they actually needed, because they weren't aware of the resources that were available to them. So that's also a very important point as well.
Yes, it's yeah. I think once you get started, you start to realize it's a whole world of resources and things to learn about, and so yeah, it just gets started, right? I don't know. Nari, do you remember the first time you went to a homeless shelter, or like I'm curious what your experience was. Like, did you have any kind of expectation going in, and but then you soon realized it was a little different than what you thought? And
I guess the expectation was that I was going there to see if there was a volunteer opportunity for young people to help out. But they said honestly, they don't have that as much of an option, and it was very kind of like a closed, secure kind of facility. So, and I can understand why they can only take so many people, and they have to be very strict on how many belongings they can bring with them, and then they have to also go through different screenings or tests, but they also assign them with social workers and people who can help them if they're trying to find a job or trying to overcome addiction. So I guess my expectation was that it was like a little more open. People can come and help volunteer, but actually they have to be a little more careful, like especially with like a younger crowd. But usually they ask, at least the homeless shelter I went to, like they're okay with having like scheduled volunteering, like helping with preparing food in the kitchen. But there isn't many other things. There wasn't many other options or available volunteering services that they had, other than maybe the community garden, which nobody seemed to have like responsibility for.
He was like, yeah, you can work in the garden. Well, yeah, that's a beautiful point, and this is also why I love Synergy and Peace Designer so much, because it focuses on that point where you need to look into it a little bit and understand there are other people who've been doing this work for a while, and the closer you are to their level of understanding and expertise, the more helpful you're going to be. And so it's nice to have a complete idea that incorporates this development that's already happened. So it's good. Yes, thank you, Mario. Okay, now for my quick talk. I want to consider shifting our relationship with problems, quote unquote. Problems, okay? Problems, you might think it's bad and only bad, right? But I'd like to consider something else. How do you guys feel about gamification? Just curious. I'm not sure. When you hear gamification, you think that's good, or you think that's it's good to an extent.
I mean, games
I'm
are
not sure
great.
what it is.
Okay, how do you feel about gamifying everything in life? Like, there's some people who just have this concept that if we gamified everything, it'd be better. But I'm curious of what your thoughts are about that.
I think it would work only for certain kinds of people. Gamification, I think, is something like someone who's goal oriented. It would work very well with them because then they're working towards something, and I guess gaining something. I guess in a game, like you could win something if you work hard, or you can collect and accumulate something. So I think that's my impression of it. But not everyone operates that way.
Mm-hmm. Ricky?
Yeah, I guess I'd have to agree with Narya there, but I don't know. I think generally having something that's engaging that can bring people in and have them like attentive to what's going on is a good thing.
I see. So you're saying if it can bring more people, attract more people to a good cause, then
yeah, for sure. I mean, also just the fact that you already have an audience there, but you're able to have them attentive to what you're actually saying, because I think gamification does that. I think that's a good thing. I can't see why that would be a bad thing.
Mm-hmm. Can it be a bad thing?
My impression is if it is a bad thing, it might be that people don't take it seriously if it seems like a game, but it's like applied to a very serious topic. So I think maybe that's the one thing that comes to mind for me.
Right. It could come up as like kind of the intention isn't in the right place. It's like, are you there to win points, or is it to make a real difference in the world, right? Or to be sensitive to the matter that you are involved with. Mm-hmm. That makes sense. Well, consider this, okay? Problems. I believe we'll always have problems. The question is, what kind of problems are we going to have? Let's say Synergy takes off, where you have all men, women, and children contributing their ideas to solve global problems. I truly believe that we have an untapped resource, that there are so many people who don't know that they have the potential to come up with world-changing ideas. And let's say Synergy is the platform where people can contribute those ideas. We can review them, put them in front of expert panel, and we're able to take action on the ones that can really do something. What's going to happen is we're going to solve all of our world problems. Okay, we're going to have, instead of, if we, let's say we end all the wars, COVID-19 is completely curbed and we are, living in a world without masks so that our kids can, learn what that world is like. I mean, my kids, I don't think they even know what a world without masks is anymore. Let's say those aren't the problems anymore. Then what we get to do is create new problems. Like, how do we create underwater cities? Because our populations keeps growing and growing. Well, how do we, keep a good standard of life for all people? Or how do we navigate the stars, or colonize them of Mars, or that rhyme. That's kind of fun. Travel the stars, colonize Mars. Anyway, I get or how do you this or new technology where we can be more intimately connected with one another, and there's more equality, across the planet, where everyone's wealthy and everyone's super active, and no more poverty, because technology can help us kind of not necessarily like equal distribution, but equal opportunity for all people. I think that world is coming, and so I think that's a possible direction to take is to have a different relationship with problems. I feel like when we hear the word problems or issues, it's like a negative thing. It's like, oof, I have to sacrifice myself to solve them. But what if we applied more gamification, more, you've probably noticed a lot of the younger generation play video games. Why? Because they're able to create their own worlds. I've noticed that a lot of these games that these kids are in, if I can call them kids, but like Minecraft, Ricky, I play games too. Minecraft or Fortnite, like you're building things, and I'm seeing a trend of a generation that is more excited to build things. And so what we need to do is create problems or puzzles, create puzzles that applies a more of a creative, more constructive problem solving, as opposed to how do we mitigate this? How do we stop this? It's like, that's boring. I mean, I hate to say it. Of course, it's like obviously really important. People are literally dying, and I don't want to diminish the hurt and the pain. But I think like Ricky, like you said, how do we attract more people to addressing these issues? It's not just saying how bad it is. It doesn't attract people. In fact, that kind of repels people. It's like, oh my God. Or that's why people throw money at these problems. They think, oh wow, I don't want to. I'm too scared to go near it. I'm just going to throw money at it, and hopefully someone can solve it. No, that's not good enough. So I think we need to consider gamifying the problem and creating a puzzle, a framework where more young people can come in droves and okay, maybe they get a cash prize. Why not? I taught a little Sunday school class back in the day, and I give a test at the end of every class, and I said, okay, the top 3 get $1. It cost me $3, but that's like the best $3 I've ever spent, because they really got into it and they learned a lot and they turned out pretty good. So what I'm saying is, let's change our relationship with problems. See this as more of a puzzle, more of a game. And then once we get people in and start interacting with the problem, with the puzzle, then they'll be able to even understand how serious it is and be able to be motivated to follow through and really make a difference. So that's what I love about Synergy. I think Synergy is the platform that has that potential. So I don't know why you haven't signed up yet, guys. I mean, this is all you got to do is go to the website, pre-register, and it'll start coming to you. The ideas will come to you. Just don't get in the way of your own good ideas. So, and that's what I have to offer. Thank you.
Thanks, Mohan. Well, the idea of gamification is interesting. It does bring a lot of like thoughts or ideas to my mind. So, like, I think the problem-solving aspect is definitely kind of like an appealing intellectual kind of game. I don't know if you've seen like these engineering games where you're trying to build a rocket ship or a vehicle to to fly over a bridge or something like that. So basically, you're putting together these different parts that the game allots to you, and you have to try to configure it in a way where it's going to function and achieve its goal. I could totally see those kinds of games to help simulate a situation for young people to try to figure out how do you solve it with your limited resources that are available to you. So that might be interesting. But then applying it to reality, that's always the more difficult part. So that's where I'm not sure how gamification might work, where it might help to at least get people to learn more and become aware of the issues and gain at least a taste of it in that way. But when you're actually put into the situation, there's so many other factors and
Maria,
solutions.
that was brilliant. With limited resources, maybe we should add another rule that you can't spend more than like $500, and then that way it gives them more of a frame to kind of work with.
Yeah, and that's the reality of most countries and nonprofit and organizations trying to help all these different countries with all the wars and the natural disasters. They have limited resources. They only have so much funds. They only have so much equipment, and so they have to figure out what is the best way to use this stuff. Like, what is the priority?
And then they'll you have to have a budget, and it's great. I love the idea.
Yeah, but this makes it a lot more complicated. So I don't know if it's going to be very appealing or attractive to young people to try to have to figure out all these aspects.
We'll discuss this offline. But
sorry, I'm
you're
a reality person, like practical person.
We are onto something. All right, Ricky, last word of wisdom.
Yeah, no, I think gamification is great. I can totally imagine like a Pico Park kind of situation where you have to get people to work together to solve a problem. So yeah, I think it's great. I think we're heading in the right direction.
Good. Well, you heard it, folks. We are in the right direction. Thank you, Naria. Thank you, everyone. We're going to leave you here tonight or today. Have a great day, and we'll see you next week. Take care on Rise Up.
Bye, guys.
Bye.